Do love me some Method Man. So this is just the menu, obviously. So from the menu, you can go to the settings, which I'm actually not going to do.
You can change the
yet.
font.
You can change the font. I actually have changed the font, and you can see the little pulsing purple highlight. I changed that too because I like that more.
Yeah, the default font is actually kind of shitty.
Yeah,
I watched
Fish
Giant
designed
Bomb. These fonts,
these
the menus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the Giant Bomb did a stream like last week or whenever it came out. I watched some of that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna run the cartridge. The cartridge is my Super EverDrive. So does anybody have is there a game that anybody wants to see?
This is for Super Nintendo.
Let's watch the opening of Chrono Trigger.
No, let's watch Secret of Mana.
I mean, I guess you could just start with Mario World since that's like the first Super Nintendo game.
Why stop there? Make it Super Mario World.
So I'm going with
Wait, no,
because that was what you
Cheetah
said.
Too Cool.
Okay, we'll do Cheetah Too Cool next because that's the second. Chrono Trigger is the best Super Nintendo game, and then Cheetah Too Cool is a close second, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Cheetah Too Cool, by the way, is Chester Cheetah in Too Cool to Fool. If you're curious.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So.
I think the other one. Is there a second Chester Cheetah game?
There are two Chester Cheetah.
There are other Chester Cheetah games. Yeah.
So this is right here is the EverDrive taking a moment to load. So while it's doing that, so there's a video on our YouTube channel of me unboxing the system and the controller, and sort of doing some side-by-side stuff. I show off the intro to Street Fighter Alpha 2 sort of in a split screen, so you can see how much better this looks, and in fact you can see how great this Chrono Trigger intro looks.
I have to turn the music on.
Yeah,
definitely my favorite game of all time.
So I can go into the menu while this is...
I'd say top 5.
While this is happening, and I can go into the settings and we can sort of mess with the game settings, you know.
Yeah, you can change, like, you can do, like, you can put filters and weird stuff on there, right?
Right, so I can change the resolution and whether it's PAL or NTSC. Here, if I want to, I leave it at 1080, 60 frames per second. You know, some people like...
Shouldn't it be 60.09?
60.08, apparently.
Please.
Yeah.
60.08.
So that's another thing that you can do. You can go into the buffer mode, and you can
actually try and make it like be frame accurate if you care about those things.
Right. So the guys at My Life in Gaming, who first of all are super nice dudes. I've met them, hung out with them a bit at conventions and stuff. They're real nice guys, and they're really knowledgeable about this stuff. Oh yeah, a little bit, sure.
Shilling, if you will.
That's right.
I will.
They are they're sort of the go-to guys for like high quality video output from old video game systems on YouTube these days, and they tested, you know, the video output of an original Super Nintendo, and again it's about 60.8 hertz. Sorry, 60.08 hertz.
Right. And
they ran a Super Nintendo and a Super NT side by side, and it loses about 1 second over 10 minutes. That's the kind of
unacceptable
difference that you're right. So if that isn't acceptable, you have two options to fix it. There's a single buffer option, which it about every 10 seconds it creates a screen tear. Which actually really bothered me. I tried
the screen tearing is way more noticeable than losing a frame every 10 minutes or losing a second.
Right, losing a second. Or if you go fully buffered introduces more lag. So at zero delay, there's no lag. This is a lag-free system. I'm using a wireless controller, so that might introduce a frame of lag or two. But the system itself will not lag at all if you do zero delay, but it doesn't run exactly accurate. If you go to fully buffered, it runs at the correct 60.08 hertz, but it drops a frame every 10 seconds. So like one of 600 frames is dropped, which is to me not noticeable, and it adds I want to say Kevtris said it adds like less than 15 frames of lag.
Yeah, a few milliseconds of lag, I think.
Which, if you're like playing through,
which is probably less than your TV or your computer monitor would have anyway. So,
so I kind of tend to go to fully buffered just because like I don't mind the lag as much. But I've been playing on zero delay. Like probably when I record game footage, I'll do fully buffered so it's like accurate. But
let's be totally honest, and you're not gonna, if people didn't tell you that those things existed, then you would never know.
Except on single buffer where you would notice the screen tearing.
You would, the screen tearing would be very obvious.
Totally bad.
Screen tearing sucks. That's why we all need G-Sync high frame rate monitors, so we never have to experience screen tearing ever again.
So for TVs with HDMI 2.1, coming in 2018.
So
hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. So for this, I'm going to just go with zero.
Hey, Mike.
Okay.
And scan lines, I leave them all. You can, if people are into scan lines, you can do that.
If you're gonna play Donkey Kong Country, turn the scan lines on, I guess. But otherwise, fucking put those things in the trash.
I needed them for Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo Classic because it was just too intense on a big.
Yeah, Mario Kart's a little wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate them, so I leave them off. Scalers, I hate those too, so I leave them off. The scalers are basically like eagle filtering sort of stuff. The X-ray one is kind of fun, just because it like
probably they have to be better than eagle filters, right? But I feel like eagle filter is the one we always mention, but eagle filter has like not been relevant for like 15 years.
Right, but I mean, like, I don't know.
It was just a thing that was in Z-SNES in the early 2000s.
Sure, but if you look as I kind of go through these, like, they make it smeary. Yeah. It's not exactly an eagle filter, but I like sharp pixels, so... Yeah.
I really like the X-ray mode.
And I disable the interpolation, so I get, like, super sharp pixels as well. Interpolation helps if you are using non-integer scaling.
Nikki, dang, that is some NT Mini stuff.
That is some
from the chat
stuff. Yeah.
It is actually that.
So if you are doing non-integer scaling, which is the best way to get like an accurate 4:3, then you can turn on you can turn on interpolation, which will stop the shimmer, the pixel shimmer effect that happens when the screen scrolls for non-integer scaling. But it also makes the image a little blurry, so I turn it off because I just go with like sort of.
You want those raw dog pixels?
I want those raw dog pixels. I really do.
You want them right in your eyes. No protection whatsoever.
Yeah, so I don't do that. The cropping, I haven't found any games that have garbage pixels that I've needed to crop out, but I have, the HD mod in my Famicom. It's also made by Kevtris. That I have used the cropping because in NES games it's a lot more common to have like junk data on the edge of the screen that like when you were a kid would have been covered up by your overscan on your old 4:3 TV, but is not. So that I haven't run into with any Super Nintendo games yet, but you can do that. And then width and height. So these are the settings I have. This is basically 5 times scaled horizontally and 7 times scaled vertically, I think. I don't remember exactly, but and then the horizontal and vertical positioning was based on the recommendations of My Life in Gaming because they said it's centered any images that they'd worked with, and they did like pretty rigorous testing, so that's what I went with. Because for some reason I always noticed with my old upscaler, especially Super Nintendo games would be slightly off center. It was really weird, and I don't know if it's because the way the overscan was designed on the system so that it was like intentionally off-center for some reason, or I don't really know, but anyways, I don't know how much I actually changed here, but I'm gonna save my settings. You can restore the factory defaults anytime you want. Yes, really save.
Yeah. Also, god damn it, Joe, get to the game. I need to see the seagulls flying across the screen, and I need to hear the balloons popping.
Can you rewind on this?
No.
This you cannot rewind on.
So that's one of the big upside of this so far is the fact that you can play with little to no lag, which is still difficult in pretty much every emulator, even ones that are basically perfect like Hygen. But the big downside of this is it doesn't have save states, and it doesn't have like rewind, fast forward, and some of the other stuff that most emulators can do. So, there are pluses and minuses to either of those. I mean, the thing with Hygen is that you have to have a really fucking fast PC, if you bought a
Right.
top end
You have to
one
have a
last
2
5 years or so, you
gigahertz.
should be good.
Yeah, you have to have at
But-
least a 2 gigahertz
So-
processor.
Right.
So the only reason I ask is because I wanted to. I guess you could just do it when you're standing still. I wanted you to futz with some of the settings and see if you can really tell the difference.
Oh, sure. If once we get to actually, I should have done
Yeah,
that
right.
like before.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre again, huh?
Got to. Okay, so we can mess with some stuff. So what do you like? What do you want to see? Do you want to see so all right? So I'm playing on 1080, at 60 frames per second because of my computer. I'm actually streaming this at 30 frames per second and in 720 because that's as high as Twitch will go anyways on resolution. So you're not seeing exactly what I'm seeing. So if I change it to 720, you probably wouldn't notice the difference. Also, changing resolution might cause the game to crash, so I'm not going to do that. But width and height, like obviously this. If
I'm really happy. I'm really happy this music's playing. By the way, just want to note
Good.
for the record.
If I stretch this, you're definitely gonna notice that. So I don't think.
Let's see it.
Do you want to see it? Okay.
Yeah. Stretch
Make
that
it wide,
motherfucker.
Joe. Make it wide.
I mean, you can get it. You can if you want it full screen. Like here it
I
is.
need wide pixels.
1920 pixels.
Oh yeah.
That's hideous. That is.
Chrono's
Yeah,
mom
it
is thick, you guys.
It's very.
So is this
very
cat.
loud.
That's a crime against.
You transformed it from Heathcliff into Garfield. I hate
that's a crime against video games. So we'll go back to 1532, but you can do that, and it's a maximum height because I want to max out the height because I have the overscan of my TV turned off, so maxing out the height makes it fill the whole screen vertically. And then again, the width is the nearest integer scaling, which again I think it ends up being like 7:5, which is pretty close to how a 4:3 TV would actually display the image. Although not exactly, but you get them sharp pixels without interpolation, which is what I like. So. Cropping, we don't need to mess around with that because I mean, I guess since Anthony just wants
You know
to
what
see
cropping
stuff,
is.
there you go. The
Don't do
letter
it.
M is gone.
No.
There's plants corn inside your TV, and then
Yep.
Yeah. Now her name is Om. I like it.
But if you get your TV too hot, then all the corn pops and the image gets blurry.
Yeah. So scalar.
Yeah, you're right.
Now you can see that there's actually characters on screen. Like you get HQ. The more HQ you add, the smearier and more hideous the image becomes. At HQ4,
Yeah,
where I have it
quality.
now, that's gross.
I think we're all pretty much on the same page as far as that stuff is concerned. And I've said several times that for me, like either it has to be
No idea
a
what
Super
this one is
Nintendo.
for, but like.
A Super Nintendo on a CRT TV, or I just don't care that much beyond that. Like, if it's not going to be totally authentic, then faking it just is not the same.
Why is there an edge finder filter?
Yeah.
Why not?
Just cause.
The Giant Bomb guys played some Super Street Fighter 2 with that
With the
X-ray
X-ray
mode
on?
on,
Yeah.
and it was pretty wild looking.
I'd imagine.
Also, it's not an X-ray mode; it's an edge finder mode. That is the opposite of what an X-ray does.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike. Whatever. Scan lines. Okay, if this is a thing you're into, I guess like normal scan. There you go. That is so ugly to me. I don't get why people like that. People do, and that's. I mean, I'm not scan line shaming or whatever, but man, I think that is hideous.
You know, of all the things people do for nostalgia, that ranks pretty low, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of get it, but it just doesn't. It doesn't. The pixels don't
They don't
bleed the
look-
right way
yeah,
because
exactly. It just doesn't look.
it's not the
They don't
same.
have that soft glow.
Right. It's not a fucking electron gun drawing it on and making them glow and bleed together in the way that they would have on a CRT. So it just isn't.
Right.
It ain't the same. Like
There are
even the
filters
very-
that try to recreate that effect, but I don't think that they're great.
yeah,
So
What was it? The
these-
Capcom arcade collection that was on Xbox 360 with
yeah,
King Arthur.
yeah.
I feel like that had a mode like that where it would like warp the image to match like a curved monitor and give you that
Oh,
kind of glowy
yeah,
CRT look.
I don't know if if that's what
the
people.
Final Fight Double Impact had that where it like added
Yeah.
like a the arcade
I
cabinet
don't-
bezel.
Look,
and then,
guys.
like,
Look, guys. Let's not kink shame anyone who's into scan lines.
No.
all right?
So this is kind of.
I just
dope.
don't like it
Yeah,
personally.
yeah,
Yeah.
same. So this is kind of interesting. You can make it so you can't overclock the system, which like I remember some dude got really up in my shit in YouTube comments once about Gradius 3. And I was like, you know, it's got a cool because I was praising Space Megaforce for not slowing down, and he was like, whatever, man, Gradius 3 doesn't slow down. And I'm like, you have just proven to me that you've only ever played Gradius 3 on an emulator, because on original hardware, Gradius 3 like crawls on stage 2. Yep. And this system will not let you overclock, but what it will let you do is add 64 sprite tiles, which basically means that in games that have sprite flicker really badly, you can eliminate that by telling the system that it's okay to have more sprites on a line without at one time without flickering. I haven't run into any game. Again, there aren't a lot of games on this system that have that problem. Like, that is way more an NES problem than a Super NES problem, but you can add it if you want to. The mode 5 and 6 interlace disable. So there are actually 7. I think there might be a total of 8, but the mode 7 thing, there are actually several graphics modes on the Super NES, and 5 and 6 interlace shit in a weird way on high definition images. And so this feature for those games that have that, and I can't think of which ones they're off the top of my head, will fix that. And the pseudo high-res blending is actually pretty dope, but the only game that I've seen anybody point out that it affects is Kirby's Dream Land 3. Where
that's a great game.
Yeah, there's an effect where like when the image is on a CRT, it basically is like the clouds and stuff, like they're like alternating lines, but the way they blended on a CRT made them look like transparencies. Because like on every other frame it would like alternate which line or something like that was like visible, but running through this thing, it just looks like a comb ran through the clouds, basically. And if you use this pseudo high-res blending, it makes it look like a transparency the way it's supposed to look. It's sort of like the Sonic the Hedgehog waterfall thing, where like it looks a certain way on a CRT and it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look on a high definition display. So this feature is for that. I don't know any other games besides Kirby's Dream Land 3 that actually take advantage of this feature that used that trick, but it's there, so that's cool. Buffer mode, again, we talked about this a little bit. You're not going to know. I mean, I could put on single buffer if you want to see some screen tears. I don't know why you'd want to see that, but other than that, you're not going to notice anything here that I would do. And then advanced mode is just that box just automatically ticks at any time that I manually change this stuff. Otherwise, if you untick this, like the resolution just is like, you can set it to this and this, or the width and height, like you can set it to like these preset things. Otherwise, you can't. So that's why advanced mode is ticked. That's basically all that means. So that's the
less lag, man.
So they just show up with a bunch of recommended settings and say like, hey, if you're the average person, you should just run it this way.
Yeah. So without going into the advanced settings, you can do like 4x3. You can do like 4x3 for a 1080 display, 4x3 for a 720 display. For like those options are just in there in the non-advanced settings. But if you're going for this thing, I would honestly just recommend watching the My Life in Gaming like review and sort of overview video, and they sort of go through point by point, like, here's some settings that you could use if you want it to look this way. Here's some options. Here's some stuff.
I think it's cool that they put all that stuff in there.
Yeah, this stuff is so you can switch the audio output, which I don't know why you would do that. Like, you can make the left channel come out of the right channel and vice versa. I don't know what that would be for. The -3 dB audio output cut, I don't know what that's. I haven't found a use for that or heard anybody say like what the use of that is. The cartridge audio enable is for primarily the Super Game Boy, because the Super Game Boy is a Game Boy in a cartridge cell, so it has a Game Boy sound chip in it, so the sound that is coming out of your Super Nintendo is actually going through that cartridge. So if you don't turn that on, you don't get any audio out of a Super Game Boy. And it also works on the, not the EverDrive I have, but the fancier one, the SD2 SNES EverDrive has a special chip in it that can stream audio directly from it, and you have to turn this on to get that to work. And like, people have used that to hack ROMs to use like CD soundtracks. So like, you can play like Mega Man X3 with the Saturn versions, like Red Book soundtrack.
Why would
or
you
whatever.
want that?
I don't know. I don't. Mike.
They played on one of the recent Giant Bomb streams. They played the Legend of Zelda with with the super high res Redbook stereo audio that somebody mixed together, and it was super weird and off putting and felt completely wrong when I was watching it. I did not like it at all.
Yeah,
I just want to say, as someone who has hooked his speakers up wrong in the past, I love that there's an option to swap the left and right audio channels.
Fair enough. Menu
It's also
options- Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
what was the other thing? Oh, I was gonna say like theoretically, like you could use that to put like voice acting into a game if that was something you were interested in. I don't know why you would want that, but
Only
Right.
the only possible reason I could think of on the Super Nintendo would be to recreate the satellite
The
Zelda game.
Satellaview,
Yeah.
yeah. If somebody went to the trouble to record the
Or-
something.
if say the five of us wanted to record all the dialogue Chrono Trigger and then put that out there for anybody to
Yeah.
Well,
Fully
I guess we have a
voiced.
project
enhance
now,
their
huh?
Chrono Trigger experience.
Fully
I-
voiced version of Chrono Trigger.
I hear it. I hear it. I found our $5,000 level prize for extra lightning.
Chrono Trigger is a long game, but we'll put
I
the
know.
hours in.
So the menu, this is like you can go Super Famicom, which is the red. I like the purple, even though the model I have is the Super Famicom colored one with the Super Famicom colored controller. I like the purple on the menus. The highlight style, I have it on throb, but you can
I do
change
love
know
that
it.
you can
baby.
set this thing to throb.
Yeah, you can change it to rolling.
That's an option that everything needs to have.
You can change it to flash, so it like sort of beeps when you change the swipe. It's, and then or just solid where it just. But I like the glowy. It's got like a 80s sci-fi vibe to the throb, so I like the throb. You can change the color again. I like purple. You can make it darker purple. Actually, maybe I'll
Purple's
stick
the
with
color of the Super Nintendo.
that. Yeah, but you can do blue, green, white, magenta, whatever. I'm actually going to go dark purple. I like that better. The font, I went to the alternate font is like what you see. Actually, it's very close to what you have in. I don't know fonts off the top of my head, but like it's very similar to what's in Chrono Trigger there. Actually, if you look, but I like but I don't like the uppercase only. I like the lowercase. That's the font that I dig. So
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves recently has been any game that has pixelated like pixel art that uses high res fonts that don't show the pixels.
Yeah.
Celeste in particular, it really
no.
like, rubbed me the wrong way because
Yeah?
of that.
How'd
But
you
there's
feel
been a
about
bunch of
dialogue
other.
portraits?
Those don't bother me that much because there's a precedent for doing like anime avatars for characters in video games for a long time, but it's still.
You must hate every retro game port to a phone in the history of the world, then.
I never
Yeah.
played any of them,
They
Well,
so
all
you
do that.
would hate most of them because that's how.
Yeah.
That's how
They
they.
I mean,
look janky as hell.
I appreciate
Yeah, they're also janky as hell.
why they do that because it's just easier. But man, there's a lot of like 16 or 8 or 32-bit looking
I
fonts out
think they
there
do
that
it
I feel
because
like you
there's
could
so
get your
many
hands on.
different phones and tablets that they don't know what resolution you'll be running at, and
True.
it's complicated to find the nearest neighbor size for your text if you're going to use it.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
but Celeste
looks
on the
ugly as hell,
Switch,
though.
they know what resolution that's going to be run at. They definitely
Yeah.
could have.
Yeah,
You
they-
know,
they
it's
know
just one of those things that just like I only think
there's a
about
bunch
it.
of
For,
stuff in that
I only
game
think
that's
about
not-
it for a minute after I see it, but it still is one of those things that just it would integrate so much better into the experience if they picked a font that had pixels on it.
Yeah,
Then-
I like that they use blocky, pixely fonts. Either whichever one you choose. There's
Yeah, the ones on the menus for this thing are perfect for. They're
so I-
high res enough that they work on a high def TV, but they look like something that could have come on
Yeah.
the Super Nintendo.
So I can use the change the hotkey. It's select and down by default because like how many games have you press select and down at the same time to bring up the menu, but you can change that. You can change the startup option so that you can change the boot sequence delay. You can have it go directly, so you can have it go from the boot sequence, which we were talking about at the very beginning. How dope we think that. I think they're dope. I like the square pusher. So I think it's so cool that they got square pusher to make the little jingle that it makes when it starts
Mhm.
up. So I like those. You can make, but I have it go to the menu. I might change that once I've been playing it for a while because like there'll be a point where it's like I I don't need it to do that. You can have it go, so you can have it do the title sequence and go directly into the cartridge, or you can have it go just skip the boot sequence and go directly to the cartridge, or you can have it go directly to the menu. For now, I'm going to keep it here, but I might change it to this later. But we'll see. System region. You don't. I haven't played any games yet that I've had to actually change this to make them work, but apparently there are a couple that, like, if you try a PAL game without actually switching it'll like pop up with a message that like your Super Nintendo is not the right region, you can't play this game. You have to go in here and switch it to PAL, and then it will work. Cool. And then the LED options, you guys can't see the LED, but like there's a bunch of options that you can change for the system power light. There you go.
It's one of the best things about the PlayStation 4 controller. Yeah, so I'm all for it in all things. If you can have, I really want to get. Have you guys seen that they make those for like your kitchen and bathroom faucet?
Yeah,
that you can attach to the. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want my bathroom faucet to look like the underside of an early 2000s Japanese muscle car. Yeah.
Right. And then here's the
Need for Speed Carbon taking place in my bathroom.
So I can there's already a jailbreak. There's actually a software update that I haven't done yet, which I probably should, but like apparently it only fixes things for a couple of very specific games, so I haven't worried about it. And there's already a jailbreak where you can play games off.
You cannot play Mortal Kombat 2. You can't play Mortal Kombat 2 on the NT Mini as it comes out of the box. So you should at least get the update.
I guess I should. But the jailbreak lets you play Super Nintendo games off of a memory card. It doesn't add any extra cores yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's like not far behind. But
hopefully.
I don't need to jailbreak it. Yeah, I know that's what you were saying.
Because otherwise, there's no point in having this outside of having over just using an emulator, basically.
Well,
it's really.
I would.
The other thing is that so they did release that new firmware, but you can't run any games that use the special enhancement chips. So like any DSP-1 chips, which excludes like Mario Kart and Pilot Wings, and then like Mega Man X2 and 3 and a bunch of other.
Yeah, because this system
through the thing.
Yeah, this system does run games directly from the cartridges as a real Super Nintendo does. So if I pull this cartridge out, and I actually saw a video of someone doing this just to prove the point. If I rip the cartridge out, the game will crash. Like on a Retron 5 or whatever, like if you pull the cartridge out, it doesn't matter because the game it dumps the ROM to the system memory and plays.
This thing also can't dump ROMs, which is another thing.
Yeah,
would be like that's not something I care about, but that would be a neat,
I was saying, in case
extra
you don't know
functionality.
All of the
right, a Retrode or a Retron or one of the million things that can dump ROM.
So the system itself, though, I will say, so a million people tested it, but if you watch the video that's on the YouTube channel, I have tested it, and I tested it with a bunch of
Chrono Trigger.
With a bunch of different cartridges, and I confirmed that like Mega Man 2 definitely works, Street Fighter Alpha 2 definitely works, Super Mario World 2 definitely works, my EverDrive definitely works, the weird Nintendo Power cartridges that were like loadable cartridges from Japan definitely work.
Did you try a Super Game Boy? That works too?
Super Game Boy definitely works.
Right. Yep. I know Game Genie works because they did that on the Giant Bomb stream.
I don't have a Super Nintendo Game Genie actually, so I didn't try that, but
I believe that it worked, or it would have, but their Game Genie was too dirty.
That's okay. So that is one thing I should mention. I mentioned it in the video, but like, they said like the book that comes with the system specifically says like make sure your cartridges are squeaky clean, and they're not fucking around. Like there were games that even when because I did a comparison, so I had my Super Nintendo out as well, and there were games that like worked in my Super Nintendo that didn't work in this. Like I had to go over them like once or twice with a Q-tip and some Windex to actually get them to load up on this thing. The games have to be really clean. I didn't have to open any and take an eraser to the contacts yet, but just so you know, like if you've got old cartridges and stuff, that just be aware, like, that's what might happen.
You got work to do.
You got work to do. So, yeah, but yeah, since it runs games from the cartridge, if you have the jailbreak, only games without any special chips work because it's running the chip from the cartridge as it would, kind of normally. But actually, the guys at Digital Foundry also did a video on this, Eric, and since you mentioned the emulator thing, Higen does a pretty good job. But most emulators that aren't Higen, like there's games that don't work or games that don't work properly or have sound problems. So, I mean, this thing is, better than an emulator depending on how much of a stickler you are, and
so much.
So.
Right. I don't think it's better than. Is it Higen or Higen? I'm
not sure.
Either way, I know that is basically correct.
Yeah,
there were a couple. Better than SNES version 1.4.
The
definitely,
big,
definitely better than
the big,
SNES.
or SNES 9X or whatever.
Does it snow when you pause?
Man's got a point.
Yeah. Like I said, there's upsides and downsides to using an emulator or buying one of these. I mean, the reason you would buy one of these is just because you want that neat piece of hardware to put beside your TV, And for what was it like? It's like $200.
It was 190 plus shipping.
Yeah. So for that price, if you can run basically all the Super Nintendo games, and if eventually they release cores for Game Boy and Nintendo and all that stuff, then
yeah, I think
it's a really neat piece of hardware for sure.
Yeah, that stuff would definitely be a boon to a lot of people, I think. For me, so one thing that I showed in the video that I put on the YouTube channel is that, like, there are people who, there are certain models of Super NES, and if you get a mod put in them, they put out a really clean video signal. But generally, even with RGB, the original Super Nintendo puts out a really noisy kind of garbage video signal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I know everybody loves Chrono Trigger, but is there anything else? Any other games anybody wants to?
I believe there was a certain cheese-related
game. Certain cheese-related game. That's right.
So I picked Chrono Trigger, and then that's the best Super Nintendo game of all time. And
Joe, I've left it open to you to pick any cheese-related game you can think of. You've only got like 30 seconds for it.
Well, no, you picked the second best Super Nintendo of all game. Chester Cheetah's Too Cool to Fool. So we'll let Mike pick the third best.
What's Wild Wild Q?
Chester Cheetah's Wild Wild Quest is the other Chester Cheetah game.
Because I like Chester Cheetah Wild Wild Q. That's a good name.
So we'll go ahead and play some Too Cool to Fool here, and then I'll let Mike choose a game. So the original Super NES puts out a really noisy, kind of shitty video signal. In fact, Mike, during Extra Life, pointed out the jail bars and stuff, and the sort of noise in the signal, and it's just like,
Joe,
yeah, man.
Does your
jail bars?
The striping effect that you get. People.
I had that on my NES, not my SNES.
I feel like when we were playing Super
good.
Nintendo on here during Extra Life, you were like, "What's up with the striping?" Or "What's up with?"
Oh man, look at him! He's holding something. He's in a bathtub.
Oh, look at his
It's weird. You think that thing sticking out of the top of the bathtub is his tail, but it's actually his weird cheetah dick.
Well, one of them, anyways.
Yeah, usually he wears cheetah spotted underwear, so you can't see it, and it blends in with his skin. But for that bathtub,
it just pokes out the back.
Yeah, they wanted to trick you into looking at a cheetah dick. So,
well, they got me.
They gotcha.
So if you play the games that use the special chips through the EverDrive, would that work, Joe? Does the EverDrive take care of that stuff?
It depends on the game. A lot of them, no. So Super FX chip games definitely do not work.
Okay.
And I know that like Mega Man X2 and 3 don't work on the EverDrive.
Okay. You don't want to play those
some
anyway,
of the more like Mario Kart it might have something in, because I think there's a small FPGA in a lot of these EverDrives as well.
Mhm.
I like that he moves up without me moving him up, and there's really not much to indicate that, like, there's no landscape. He just walks up for no reason.
That's why this is a classic.
Wow.
Instant classic. Okay.
I'm not sure, you guys, but this Genesis might be a really bad game.
This must
I
have
think
been
there is a
when
Genesis
the
version
Cheetos.
of
There, yeah, there is a Genesis version of it. This must have been when the.
Look out for that! Look out!
This must have been when the Cheetos paws shapes were very popular, I guess.
So Chester
Which was
Cheetah walks
never-
into a bar.
And he says,
Should I finish that?
"Yeah, you may as well."
That's a weird dialogue for Chester.
And I'd
Cheetah,
like.
man.
He says, "I'd like a bag
Mhm.
of Cheetos."
Uh-huh.
And the bartender says, "Why the why the big pause?" And he says, "Because I'm cool."
I like how all
This
of the
joke
things
needs a
in
little
this-
work.
I like how all of the sentient things in this game have sunglasses on.
I like how when you pick up the sunglasses, you just can't see well anymore.
Yeah, that was like. Okay, my favorite thing though is that the
Thanks.
dash has a built-in delay where he like.
That's excellent.
That's just like he does on the TV show.
It's just
What
like
TV
Link to
show?
the
He didn't
Past.
have a TV show.
The
You know?
the advertisements.
Just like in those commercials. I have no idea
Yeah.
how to actually hit this boss. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
You need more pairs of sunglasses.
Yeah, you can see him too well. Is the
I
problem?
think they missed an opportunity to put sunglasses on the robot as well as the
Yeah, I agree.
pilot.
Is
of
the
the
dog
robot.
wearing sunglasses, or does he just
Yeah,
have
the
He
dog
like,
is wearing sunglasses.
the-
Literally every living creature that we've come across, or every animal that we've come across has been wearing sunglasses.
Get him, Joe. Get him.
Turtles, it's the birds in the background.
I-
Those weird
I-
those weird sapient springs that were attacking you.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're
Presumably,
sapient.
Emily
Hopefully
lower
they're
the
sapient.
body.
No, I think the dog just has like black coloring around its eyes, looking at the
Nah,
continuous
he's wearing
screen.
No, those are sunglasses.
Okay.
They're
All right,
just
I'm,
turned at a-
it's
at an
Mike's turn
angle.
to pick a game. I'm not.
Joe,
I'm
do
not
you own a
subjecting-
copy of Stunt Race FX?
No, I don't.
Okay.
The third best Super Nintendo
Then
game.
play something good. I don't know.
Let
It's-
me.
you have-
You know what?
you have
Actually, I want to
flashback?
see if since Eric asked, I want to see if Mario Kart works.
We'll run
since
on
it has
that.
the DSP one.
Sure.
chip in it.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting experiment.
Through the EverDrive?
Yeah.
What's an EverDrive set you back?
I think it was $80-ish. I think for the Super Nintendo one. The Genesis one was more expensive because it has a lot more bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
It plays Master System games as well, and like 32X games, and the highest tier. So there are 3 models of the Genesis one, and the EverDrive X7, it's called, is the one. That one is not the one I have, but that one has like save states and shit like that, built into it. But it's like really expensive, so I was like, hard pass.
Is there any chance that they will add save states to the NT with patches in the future, or is that out of the...
I mean,
Realm
I
of
would say it
possibility.
seems possible. There's talk already of them doing built-in Game Genie, I guess,
Okay.
is a rumor. So, all right, let's find out if Super Mario Kart works or if it.
So this is like a second generation FPGA product. I think when they get to like 4th or 5th generation, I might eventually get one, but I'm kind of waiting for them to come out with one that does basically everything.
So, I saw an interview with Kev Triss, and he was saying that, for the foreseeable future, the highest so apparently Mario Kart does not work because it is frozen on the Nintendo logo. So
Okay.
But Kev Triss was saying that
That means it's time for Play Fighter.
Oh Jesus! All right, fine.
Which one though?
Oh, your
The one where
choice.
they're singing, I guess. I
Hmm.
don't know which one do they sing.
The fir- I believe the first game had...
I believe it's called Chester Cheetah and the Q or whatever it was.
Wild Quest.
The Wild Q. Yeah.
So there's
I'm
Clay
pretty
Fighter,
sure-
Clay Fighter Tournament Edition, and
There's
Clay
Tournament
Fighter 2
Edition and
Judgment,
Judgment
Clay.
Clay.
I'm just gonna go with the old school.
I'm pretty sure I remember all the words to the Clay Fighter song.
Let's find out.
Let's go for it.
Let's
Or at
find
least the
out.
first
Come on, Mike.
verse.
Do it right now.
Clay Fighter, Clay Fighter. Come on, fight them if you dare. Ooh. Clay Clay Fighter. Hit them, smack them, they don't care.
Mm.
See,
The
I only remembered the
enthusiasm.
first. I only remembered the first stanza, if you will.
Well, history will show whether
Yeah,
I
we'll
got it
find
right
out.
or not.
But according to Kevtris, who is the mad electronical genius behind this, an FPGA is for the foreseeable future. He said he thinks he could get a PlayStation clone to function on an FPGA, but anything with more power than that would be basically impossible.
Well, when I say everything, what I mean is I want it to play, Nintendo, Famicom, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, and I want it to have save states and,
I want the various Game Boy games and Genesis as well.
So, I
Sure.
mean,
Game Boy Advance, Genesis,
Sure.
Super Nintendo, and
yeah, so a
Game
lot
Boy
of
Advance
those
would be nice.
yeah.
A lot of those cores are available on the NT Mini, which makes me think that they will potentially be available here. I don't know about a Genesis core. That would be dope if there was one.
Yeah, it's just like the architecture is different.
But even
so.
if it was just like, here's a new jailbreak and it's got all the cores that were on the NT Mini, which is like Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Gear, Master System, SG-1000, ColecoVision, Atari 2600, 5200, 7800.
Yeah, is this
like
this is the list for
Intellivision.
the NT Mini?
Yeah.
Master System, NES, Game Gear, ColecoVision, Game Boy Color, the various Ataris. I don't see 5200 on that list, which is
Yeah.
weird.
But who cares? There are really like 50 games for it, and they all suck.
I have I have an unmolested, unwrapped version of blueprints for the 5200 in my basement.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Brutal punch, medium punch, quick punch.
I don't know. I feel like the Genesis might be the thing that they hold back to sell in another hardware version.
The box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Even if it's possible to do on the Super, I don't know if
Who should I pick?
this chip would
The
do
Elvis
Genesis
guy.
or this hardware.
Blue
Sorry, not
suede
chip.
goo.
Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
It would also be nice if they built.
Is there
in
any other
for
things going
controller
on in the
ports.
chat, by the way? If anybody's asking things
No,
in the
it's
chat.
just-
we should-
play.
Nope.
Like I own a multi-tap, but not a lot of people do.
Yeah, I was
Cool.
actually just looking at buying one this week. Now that with the system and the EverDrive, it seems like I should.
Is it still cheaper to get one from Japan or?
No, actually, the Japanese ones are actually now a lot more expensive, especially the ones that look like Bomberman's head. Those are a lot more expensive.
I've always been a little jealous of those. So when did they sing the theme song?
They did it at the beginning. You missed it.
I couldn't hear it.
It's
So was
because
it
you were
right?
singing. It sounded exactly like it. So
Your cover was superior,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
I remember that was like a selling point, right? Because it was like,
Sure,
Oh,
how many
there's-
games had songs back then?
there's songs with lyrics.
Do you mean to look up Blue Suede Goo's Playtality, Joe?
please.
Is that a thing? Are there finishing moves in this game?
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
I did not know that. I feel
That I didn't
wow.
remember.
I played quite a bit of this game because
Aren't you assuming that?
have
you're a little
always-
presumptive- Oh, he did win.
for as
Hated
far back as
yourself.
I can remember, I have loved anything that had stop motion animation in it. Even fucking shitty fighting games like Clay Fighter. I mean, it was bad, and I knew it was bad, but I still rented it a couple times just because.
I
love
bought
that
it,
style.
dude. I owned this game.
I'm not sure what's worse because, my brothers and I probably rented this at least 3 separate times.
Wow.
So it's like we had a
Guys
chance
sort of
to.
didn't have any good
Play
games,
something else. And you
Yeah,
didn't.
exactly. But it's like I spent a lot of time going
if you
back
said,
to
like,
this,
oh,
which
we
is
rented-
kind of the.
We rented ActRaiser 3 times. It's like, sure, that's fun. That's a good game to go back to, but
Yeah, I know.
dang.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't get
That's
like
what I
a
mean,
chance for a
Maybe the
fatality. Wasn't that
Playtality
in, like the
is-
N64
yeah, maybe they
version?
didn't come
or-
around until later. Yeah, it's possible.
Can
There
you
was
at least
an
tell me what his
N64
moves are though,
version?
besides like this music note thing with this like super
Yeah,
long pause?
okay. Throws are done with a brutal kick. Humming attack is down DT and TP. I don't know what that means.
Down towards. Wait, what?
Towards and punch.
Probably
No,
down,
yeah,
yeah,
down.
it's
Fireball.
a quarter circle forward punch, probably.
Yeah, that one I figured
Coffee
out.
said QCFP.
D down, DA, DA, and P. What do you think A is? Backwards, maybe?
Away? Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Away.
Coffee said away.
Can someone tell Coffee? to
Coffee
just
said
talk?
Jesus guys.
Yeah. Okay, Coffee, could you give us these numbers in Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
214 is
number?
quarter circle back. 236 is quarter circle forward.
Thanks.
Only if you're on the left. All right, okay, Joe. I regret my choice. You can put on something else. Any old time you're ready.
You can do a full away to towards motion and then hit a kick for the Song of Pain, which I think probably
The Song of Pain. That's not. This game is terrible. Okay. Anything anybody else wants to see?
I
I got a bunch of fan translations of stuff on here as well, so like the hashtag translated, that's all fan translations of
Power Gride said Chester Cheetah, Wild QCFP.
Stop. Man, I never went back and finished Clock Tower. I'm not gonna do that now because it's
Cool spot.
only like 13 minutes.
Cool spot.
Cool spot.
Yeah, dude, let's just we'll just go through the list of fucking
Of best
Food
games.
mascot games.
Cool spot's not a
Yeah.
bad
What
game.
is Do Re Mi
Advertising.
Fantasy?
Oh, wait,
Mylan,
which
that's the
one?
sequel
No.
to Mylan Secret Castle. I can play that. That's actually a good game. I'll play that if you want me to.
What about a little
never-
game called Legend?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Wait, called
Oh,
Legend?
boy.
Oh, wait. Didn't
The
we play that
Legend
during
Nicole
Extra
spot.
Life?
No, you should try it. Whatever it is.
No. I'm going with Cool Spot. We're doing food mascot games for the rest of this stream. Cool Spot actually isn't that bad of a game, despite its dubious.
It's also not a
the
food
puzzle game
mascot.
that's on
Food
the
mascot.
NES, I want to say.
Well, Cool Spot on the NES. Cool Spot on the NES is like Othello.
Yeah, that game's
But-
okay.
Yeah, it actually uses the 4-score. I owned that game back in the day because it used the NES satellite that I had.
Oh wow, because you totally need 4 controllers to play a turn-based
Yeah, to
board
play
game.
turn-based Othello. Yeah. Look at how cool that spot is. He's so cool.
I mean, he's got sunglasses.
And he's
so-
snapping his fingers.
Can't do that if you're not cool.
That's right.
Oh my god, he has no eyes.
And I can manipulate the Virgin Interactive logo by pressing buttons.
Are you doing that with the emulator? Now do that and stretch it.
Oh,
My God, it's
Does
like
it-
Mario
does this thing-
64, but
Does this thing play Chex Quest?
Hello.
sadly, no, it does not.
I mean,
play
obviously it
Chex Quest.
doesn't, but
oh, do you have a cart of Doom for the Super Nintendo?
I do not. That would work in this system, but I don't have it. Also, who wants to play Doom on the Super Nintendo, really?
that's how I played Doom the
You
first
right
time.
now. I'd say this intro looks
like this-
surprisingly good.
This chiptune,
Yeah, this
this
game's
chiptune
alright.
version of Wipeout by the Surfaris.
X7. up
Shell
yours.
Shock.
Yeah, how come that guy never got a video game?
I don't know, man. The Burger King got a game,
Mm-hmm.
and the Cool Spot got a game, so it seems just, only right. Collect 60 cool points. I guess these other spots are cool points. 9% cool.
Only you are cool spot. Every other one is a cool dot or a cool point or a.
I can't. I think I'm moving, but I can't tell because the background is static. Oh, I can shoot. Chester Cheetah couldn't shoot, so I'm not used to this. I like that the hermit crabs wear boxer shorts.
Actually, you know what you should play
As
next,
the
Joe?
Marine Wildlife Authority on the stream,
Uh-huh.
I can confirm that that is accurate.
You only ever see them when they change shells, though.
Yeah, exactly.
God, he's got that real haters gonna hate strut.
He sure does.
This game looks really good and is probably not very fun to play.
It's so-so.
It's fun.
This game, it's kind of similar. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played a game called Plock, but it's kind of this is.
I
kinda
have
similar
played
to
Plock.
that.
This
This is
game
like a
not
not
good
as.
Block, yeah.
No, I was gonna say this is like a less good version of that
Hmm.
game. It even kind of has the same problem in that it's a little too zoomed in.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a problem. Apparently, the Genesis version is like more zoomed out and is like a little more playable because of it.
So Genesis.
Uh-huh.
That's what they say. Genesis does what Nintendo.
Actually, Joe, I have a request. When
Okay.
you're done with this.
I mean, I could be done with this
I want-
at any moment.
I want you to play a little Michael Jordan Chaos in
Chaos in the Windy City.
Oh hell yeah!
which that game is genuinely a lot
Great.
better than it has any business being.
And then I want you to play Shaq Fu.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Did
get
you guys see
the
that Shaq Fu's coming back? We're getting a sequel
That's
to
what they
Shaq
tell
Fu.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Shaq Fu is better than Clay Fighter, I think.
Debatable.
I mean, original Clay Fighter maybe, but Clay Fighter 2 or Clay Fighter 63 and a third,
we
the
can't
special
compare with
blockbuster edition with the Claytalities. I mean,
Everyone knows that's where all the good fighting games were.
Yeah,
yep.
on the N64. Yeah, yep.
On the N64, Clay Fighter 63 and a third was a good fighting game compared to the competition that it had.
Flying Dragon is more. Wait, do wrestling games count as fighting games? Because then,
No,
actually, the N64
definitely
does
not.
have some amazingly dope fighting games.
Was it Mace the Dark Age?
Mace the
Yeah,
Dark Age was
Mace
on
the
the
Dark Age.
N64.
Probably
BioFreaks.
actually
Mortal
the only
Kombat 4.
actually decent Nintendo 64 fighting game is probably Killer Instinct Gold.
Yeah, that's.
And I guess
Well-
like Mortal Kombat 4 isn't. It's never mind.
No, Mortal Kombat
is
4
trash.
Is there a Mortal Kombat trilogy on the
It is,
N64?
but it's so bad that
Yeah.
even the PlayStation version with some super egregious loading times is better, which is
Oh,
bizarre. But yeah, it is technically.
What about Smash Bros?
Yeah, Smash Bros is good. It's a windy day in Chicago. First practice for an all-star charity game. Michael shows up and finds his team has disappeared. Their stuff is here, but they're not. This is weird. Suddenly, through a skylight, crash! A ball with a note scrawled on it. Mr.
That's how
Jordan,
people-
if you want to save your pals, come to the Egyptian room in the Field Museum at midnight. Come alone. Dr. Max Cranium.
I like that he has to go to the Field Museum.
Man, this is
Yeah,
serious.
that's
Better check
nice.
it out. That night, a guard lets Michael into the closed
Joe,
museum.
that's a place that's in Chicago.
Yes, I'm aware. In the Egyptian room,
Then Dr.
Come to
Max
the
Cranium is a
weird-looking
real
looking
person.
here.
Sure.
now what? Hey, a door in the wall. He enters warily. What the? Finding himself at the entrance to an underground prison, Michael sets out to find his friends.
I think
Man, Michael's
what the
rough.
interrobang is my favorite interjection in any like bad crossover like 90s comic thing. I feel like there's several what does in the Doom comic as well.
There's also a lot of what does in Ninja Gaiden.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
They don't
Ninja
have
Gaiden has a lot of
interrobangs,
what does.
though. They didn't have the
Some of them have
technology
interrobangs, not all of them. Ready! There's a captive here. I'm gonna throw basketballs at these bats and this basketball-headed Larry Bird-looking motherfucker.
I really hate watching this stream because of that delay. You're like spoiling everything constantly. I didn't know there were bats until it was too late.
Did the sequel to Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden ever come out?
No, I
know.
don't think so. I don't think it has come out yet.
How do I dunk in this? I want to actually put this basketball in this
You can.
basketball.
I think you have to.
You gotta
get a
do the
different
chaos dunk.
basketball. Yeah, no, you have to get a different basket. There's like different basketball pickups and stuff you can get. I think.
That locks gold.
Michael's rate of fire is really just it's not killing it with the rate of fire here.
I'd like to
I
see
was
you
finding.
throw that many basketballs.
I was gonna say I like that he has infinite basketballs, but it's
Oh,
not
hey.
like there's no story explanation for it. It's just assumed that Michael Jordan can throw as many basketballs as he likes.
I like
really
that
wish
that's
that he had a
his
basketball bag.
one,
There we
here.
go. I figured
This
out
is
how
one
you have to
unique
press
basketball
X
stat.
to do a basketball jump and then
Okay, there you go.
then shoot the basketball into the basket. Boom shakalaka.
Just like an NBA Jam basketball jump.
Yeah. Exactly.
You have
Put
the
the
you
round
should be
thing
able
into
to
the
open some of
ropes.
those doors with the keys. I think.
Yeah. Oh, now I've got a boomerang basketball. Look at that.
Hmm. There's a bunch
But I
of
ran
different
out of
weird
it. I ran
basketball
out of-
pickups that you can
Yeah.
get.
Okay, so there's the lock is off this door, but I can't figure out how to actually go in it.
Muteki says this game actually kind of owns.
So
Maybe.
up and
Little hard
select
to
is
tell from
apparently
here.
the hotkey for the EverDrive. to boot back to the menu. So sorry, guys.
So I've never played that game. It's just a platformer through and through. You don't play basketball at any point.
No, you don't play basketball at any point. Huh, actually,
What's
there's
that?
a
Michael
DSP-1B option in the options menu, so I wonder if I turn that on and try Super Mario Kart, if that works.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
I will definitely do that. Alright, let's see. Let's try it now. Oops. Super Mario Kart.
Apparently, the DSP-1B chip is also how you can play Balls 3D, so you should probably try that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
God damn it. Alright. I'm trying Mario Kart first, though.
Okay.
No, there's a game we owned.
3D Ball. It has one of my favorite
Did you buy it
magazines.
just because of the name?
This is Anthony we're talking about. Of course he did. One of my favorite magazine ads of all time, though, was it's just a red page with white text that says "Tell Santa you want balls for Christmas." So this still doesn't seem to be working, which is weird. Let's try 3D balls.
Yeah, we might as well. We've already gone down this far.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we've gotten this far. Yeah, DSP-1B is the only option, so I don't know if there's different variations of the DSP chip or what.
I just realized our Twitch dashboard is not up to date, so I'm going to set it to balls.
Sounds good.
Is that with a Z?
It is with a Z,
Fighting
as a matter of
Fighting
fact.
at its
yes.
ballsiest.
That's you got it.
Mhm.
It would be a terrible tragedy if 3D balls didn't work.
You just have to get your Balls 3D Kart, which you definitely own, because that game is such a classic. And
That's
play
right.
it that way.
I mean, it was a pack-in, right? So
Oh,
it's one of the
this
highest-selling
one-
Super Nintendo games of all time.
This one appears to be working.
Lucky
Okay.
you.
It's a special version of the DSP-1B chip that only works with Balls 3D.
Maybe
According to Wikipedia, there are
not.
Mario Kart. No.
It seems to be stuck at the PF Magic
Oh,
splash
too bad.
screen, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's a very
All right.
taxing
Well, I'm
splash.
glad that you answered my question.
Yes, now you know.
He wants to be an informed purchaser.
So is Balls with a Z the prequel to Dragon Ball Fighters?
Mm-hmm. All right. What do you want to play, Joe?
Oh boy, I don't know. What do I want to play?
Cool
The
Spot
last
2.
few minutes of this. There sadly is not a sequel to Cool Spot. I'm sad to say.
Cooler spot.
Yeah, Cooler Spot. WCW
Ninja Turtles
Super
Tournament
Brawl Wrestling.
Fighters.
Chili spot.
Well, that's a good idea, actually. That game's not that bad.
With
Pit
Dragon Ball
Fighter.
Z?
No, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters.
Cybernator or Pit Fighter. I think those would probably be the two.
I'm not playing Pit Fighter. I'll play some Tournament
Come on.
Fighters before we sign off, since Coffee didn't really get a request
Alright.
yet.
That game's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. The Super Nintendo version is definitely the best of the versions. So wait, what you were looking at the list of games with expansion chips. How many games use the DSP-1B chip?
I'll close that tab in a second. So which one? The DSP-1B chip?
That's
That one
the-
specifically?
Yeah, well, that's the only one it gives me the option for on this cartridge.
Pilot
so-
Wings, Shutoko Battle 94, Shutoko Battle 2. I don't know what those are. And Mario Kart and Balls. all I can on this particular list. It doesn't like the list of
Good
games
list.
that uses those special chips isn't huge, but not having access to easy access to Mario Kart.
I think I have a cartridge of Mario Kart.
I think Mario RPG also has one as a Star Ocean, which there's a pretty good fan translation of Star Ocean out there, and that game is actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah, Star Ocean
Be the shark.
uses the same one as
Yeah. Don't be the shark.
it's too late. I'm not the shark.
Street Fighter Alpha,
Street Fighter
2.
Alpha 2. Yeah.
the SDD1 chip.
Yes. Right. So
I
I,
knew you'd be
mean,
a
if you were
Wrath
really
guy.
into making sure you have access to all of those games except for the Super FX chip ones, like the SD2 SNES would be maybe a wiser investment. But honestly, for the amount, the greater amount of money it cost, I was just sort of like, yeah,
You're probably all right.
I'm
Mason.
okay with like with missing some of those, and like especially the Nintendo ones, right? Like Mario Kart and Pilot Wings. Like if you really want to play those,
those
you
are
can
pretty-
get them on Virtual Console. Like
Also, the cartridges for those aren't super expensive. The biggest problem would be the Mega Man X games.
yeah,
Honestly, like I don't really like X2 and X3, but they're okay. And
yeah. But
the
there's a
problem is
compilation
the
of those
carts
coming out
are
this
super
year.
fucking expensive. But
Yeah.
yes,
there's a
that's true.
compilation for the
That's an issue.
PS2, and there's a new compilation coming out this year for
Yeah.
all the current systems. So I forgot how like kind of hard this game actually is.
Yeah. Although on the other hand,
I've never seen this
with
game before.
Hygen,
This
you
is
can play all
fascinating.
those games.
That's true. You can, but
This
again,
does
you have
look
to
a
have a
damn sight
PC
better
that,
than Play
that,
Fighter.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's almost like Konami was better at making console games than Interplay.
What?
Who's this weird
Not these
Triceratops guy?
days.
I don't remember. There's.
I don't think he was ever in the cartoon.
Dude, that's
show.
Spider-Man
Yeah,
back
I
there.
think he was in the comics and maybe he was in the comics and I think, or maybe he was in like a single episode of the. Also, it's totally bogus that Bebop and Rocksteady are in the background of
Yes.
this level.
Yeah.
But you
So
can't
that-
actually like play as them.
That is called War. That's his name. Is a
Yeah.
monstrous purple creature with big claws, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures comic.
He's a Triceratops. He's
Is that
not-
Guile in the background?
Yeah,
He's
probably.
a monstrous purple creature with big claws, according to Wikipedia.
like a crab Triceratops. but
It
come
looks
on.
like Guile.
Yeah, he has Guile's moveset set too.
All right,
No, I mean
now
the-
I'll
in
be
the
shark
background
this
right there.
time, Anthony.
Yeah,
guy at the table.
That guy is playable. He has Guile's moveset.
Oh,
And his theme goes with everything.
yeah, be the shark. Is that a robot?
The shark
be the
is the best
robot.
character in the game.
Is it?
It is. He has a dive kick.
It's a mutant shark from the future, also from the Archie comics.
Is he part of the apocalypse?
Yes.
He looks less imposing when he stands that way than like on the character select screen.
So what's stranger to you guys, a shark with arms or a shark with legs?
I mean, this is a shark with both, right? So
A
Right, but
shark with
if,
legs.
If you
Yeah,
saw a
I'm
shark
gonna
with
go with
legs,
legs.
or a shark with arms, just one thing.
I think Sharks with Arms is a Reddit.
I think Coffee's the mod of that Reddit.
I like how Bebop and Rocksteady are in the background of this stage, but I don't. Are they playable characters
No,
in this
I
game?
just said that. No, they're not. It's
Yeah.
totally bogus.
Hey guys, I
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
the Bebop and Rocksteady are in the background.
Uh-huh. Hey man, I was trying to look up information on the purple Triceratops guy.
Okay, that's fair. Sorry,
was
I didn't
doing
mean to.
important research.
I didn't mean to throw shade at our research team.
Yeah.
I like how Giant Shark is basically this game's Ryu.
He's not. He's this game's Guile.
But you've got a dragon punch and a fireball.
One of which is done by charging back and hitting forward and punch, and one of which is done by holding down and then pressing up and kick.
The inputs
So
don't make
it's-
the man.
Right, so it's Ryu's
They kind of
moveset
do.
with
I mean,
Guile's inputs.
Guile throws a sonic boom and does a flash kick. Those control the same space as a dragon punch and a fireball.
Flash kick and dragon punch.
I agree with you, Eric. I mean, Joe.
Thank you. Are you
I've never
sure?
seen you play Street
No.
Fighter ever, Anthony. Do you even know what it is?
I've heard of it. That's where they beat up that car, right?
No, that's
Yeah,
That's all
fine.
I have.
Ryu is that game where you're a ninja and you have to try and get your father's sword back from the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although I believe that's pronounced Ryu.
yeah.
Yes, like the bread.
Yeah.
Named after bread.
hmm
Yep.
That's how he got so strong.
That's his last name. You don't know that because it's only first name game. It's Ryu bread.
Ryu
Ryu bread.
bread. Ryu hybrids.
Jesus. Well, Anthony was right, apparently. I won with the shark guy, so...
Yeah, man.
Good.
and I think that is going to do it for this week's stream, so... yeah,
Wait,
I mean...
No, one more game.
What?
One more game.
What?
Smash TV.
You mean Super Smash TV?
Yeah,
Why Super Smash TV in particular?
because there's money on the screen right now, and it's the first thing I thought of.
We're playing Video Game Sprite Association.
This
No,
is
that
going
was 7
to
Up
be
earlier.
The... Ha, ha, ha.
Hmm.
That's 7-Up Association, Mike, not Sprite Association.
That was my joke. That's the joke.
That
I
was
just
good.
made.
That was good.
It is. It's good.
Did you see Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah, I think
you
they
can't
might
play
be in the
as him.
background, but can you play as them? No.
I think they're in the background of this game too.
They might be.
Super
It's the
Troll.
names of the main characters.
Bebop, Rocksteady. I love it.
Money!
Have you played through all of the Super Turrican games included on this thing?
I
Joe?
haven't checked either of them out yet at all, actually.
Okay.
Does Joe look like he's from Europe City, Europe?
Yeah, do I look like Mike?
I'm not from Europe City, Europe. I'm from Europe City, Canada.
Fair. The year is 1999. Television is adapted to the more violent nature of man. The most popular form of television remains the game show. One show in particular has dominated the ratings. That show is Smash TV, the most violent game show of all time. Two lucky contestants compete for cash and prizes. Each contestant is armed with an assortment of powerful weapons and sent into a closed arena. The action takes place in front of a studio audience and is broadcast live via satellite around the world. Be prepared. The future is now. You are the next lucky contestant.
Man, I can't wait for 1999.
It's gonna be great.
Same.
Get to
Fun
the part of
fact.
this game. Get to the part of this game where your character turns to the screen and says Sub-Zero, now just plain
Now
Zero.
plain zero.
What
I want to watch that movie so much right now.
I say go for it.
I can't. It's too late.
That's not a really long movie.
If we'd played this game first, I could have watched it.
A
I do like
brand
the
new
little touch of-
VCR.
Yeah, I like the touch of it telling you what you got whenever you pick up a present. VCR, Jesus.
Man, watching
It's
this,
the future is now.
last week I just played through a game called Mr. Shifty,
Oh yeah, I heard that's pretty
which
good.
I really enjoyed it a whole bunch. It's like
Hotline
this
Miami plus
or like
teleport.
Hotline Miami, but instead
But it's
of
punching,
a
right?
dude with a
You,
coat,
like,
instead of a
teleport
dude
punch.
with a coat that uses guns and melee weapon or knives, it's a dude who can teleport like Nightcrawler. You can teleport like
Yeah.
up to 5 times in a row, and then there's a short recharge. So you can teleport and punch guys basically. You can also pick up like pool cues.
Are you a
and stuff and
teleporting
hit
punching
people and
ninja?
stuff.
Is that what you're
Kind
saying?
of, yeah. It's just like
So that's
yeah,
why
it's
you
just
like it.
my favorite Final Fantasy Tactics character. It was really good. It was only about 4 hours long, and at the end it was pretty tough, but I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
I'm surprised that this game made it onto the Super Nintendo, considering how violent it is.
I think this was post Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
this version is not this is like gory as the arcade version.
Yeah, that's also true. This is way not as
Like you
gory as
could
the arcade version.
you could pass these deaths off as explosions, a la Contra or whatever.
Step out of mine. Does your head fly into the air?
No, not in this version. I don't believe so.
Why even play it then?
I don't know.
Good question.
Because I suggested it.
Yeah,
No,
this
that's
like this version of this game.
So
this
friendship.
version of this game is
Yes.
totally okay, but you really need to have the two sticks to play. with.
Every time I see Joe,
I
I,
mean, it's
just have
better
to ask
than
him for
the-
Smash TV for.
So the fun fact
The
about Smash
real-
TV,
The real Smash TV is the friends we made along the way.
Yep.
the NES version of Smash TV is not 4 players, but does use the 4 score. So you can use two.
controllers.
Yeah, so you can use 2 controllers.
I forgot there was an NES version.
There is.
I don't know if I've ever played that or not. I have to imagine it's not very good.
It's not bad when you're playing with the 4
Playing with
score.
two
So you,
controllers. You can use 2 NES advantage sticks.
I mean, theoretically, I suppose you could. I want something maybe a little clickier though, like one of those like Bishu joysticks.
2 NES max pads, so it's like
Oh,
playing
God.
with 2 horrifically bad analog sticks.
I thought you liked that controller.
No, I had a
1999
controller.
really
We've said
good.
that. We've said that a million times.
Yeah, I think I had one too. They were shitty.
I currently have one.
I mean, I think I might have liked it when I was a kid, but I don't.
Kids are dumb.
Kids
Yeah.
are
I'll
stupid.
finish your sentence for you.
I think that had a
The
turbo.
power-ups
right? So
disappear
that's probably
too
why.
fast, and it does have turbo. Power-ups disappear way too fast in this game.
I like how there's just British soldiers in this game.
And they explode. That's my favorite
Mhm.
part about them.
Well, that's how I knew they were British soldiers.
Because they just randomly self-destruct.
That was what they. That's why they call them lobster backs, because much like the lobster in nature, the
Yes.
the
They
British
explode.
soldiers explode when they are killed. That's why lobster meat is such a delicacy, because it's really hard
You
to
have to get it
extract
before
any
they
without-
explode.
Right. Yeah.
Or
That's
you
why
just
you.
put a plastic bag around the lobster.
Yeah. And then you have like a lobster pate.
That's where lobster rolls come from. All right. Well,
So,
are you trying to
yeah.
keep
I
me
mean, this is Smash TV. Super Smash TV. Which is a weird name because it's really just Smash TV. There's nothing that makes this more super than the arcade version.
It's on the Super Nintendo, so
Yeah.
It's on the best system, so there you go.
This room is full of lobster backs, as it were. A sleek 1999 Roadster.
Ooh.
Not just any 1999 Roadster, a sleek one. Oh god.
Every time I hear the woo, I just think of Metal Gear Survive now.
somebody give me someone to drink.
Yeah, I saw you guys blow up a bunch of barrels.
Oh, did you see that? Yeah. That multiplayer of that has actually seemed kind of fun.
I heard there's a lot of crafting though, which I feel like I wouldn't have the patience for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot
no,
of
I was
crafting.
feeling that way in the demo. I would still probably play it for like $10 though.
Yeah, that's. I think that.
You'd buy
Are
that
you
for
saying
a
you'd
dollar?
buy that for $10? Yeah.
I would buy that for $1, yes.
I'd buy a tenth of that for $1.
Yeah.
Mm,
I'd buy 10 of those for $1.
Big prizes.
Wait,
I
I mean-
love it.
You were debating what you should name your character, right, Anthony? You wanted to go with a Metal Gear name?
Uh-huh.
You could
I-
just go
I did
with
pick one.
just a cheetah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Maybe that's what I'll put on my giant bomb jersey.
Chester Cheetah.
Yeah.
Joe,
I want you to know
order a
I-
giant bomb jersey?
Yeah. They got some really dope looking hockey jerseys in
Yeah, I saw
their
that.
store. They're really expensive, but
How
I
much are
don't-
they?
Hockey
They're
sweaters are
$200
always really expensive.
wow.
they are really like nice with like customizable nameplates and numbers, and the letters and stuff are like sewn on.
What number are you
They're-
gonna
Let's
do?
see. I was gonna say, what's your
I-
number gonna be?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I have until the end of the month basically to pick one out. I'm using.
I've got a
part of
number
my-
you could.
That's
I've
what I'm
suggestion.
using my tax return splurge on this year. Last year it
Nice.
was a Switch, and this year it's going to be a
This year
giant
it's a
bomb.
giant bomb hockey jersey. Nice.
I don't normally. I don't buy a lot of like stuff like that, but for whatever reason, that just looks cool. I really like hockey jerseys. I think that of the jerseys, it's the one that is like the best to wear around. But I just don't follow hockey enough to actually buy a hockey jersey. So
Yeah, I like baseball jerseys, but they're also like really warm, especially during baseball season because they're like,
yeah, baseball jerseys are pretty nice too.
you know, they're made from like polyester and shit, so they're like they don't breathe very much.
Made for a sport where you spend 95% of your time standing around.
Depends on what position you play, Mike. Depends on what position you play.
I don't play baseball anymore, so nothing.
Then yes, you spend 95% of your time standing around because you're not playing. All right, so
Joe, I think you'll be happy to know that in that beta, I named my character Hulkin Raven, and he was a very big man.
yeah.
He was very hungry and
Did you
thirsty.
start
He
every
was very
sentence
hungry.
with you know something, brother?
Yeah, I guess to really commit, he did have Vulcan Raven's like tattoo on his forehead also. The like Raven one. I'll have to figure out a way
Then
to
you should have
incorporate
covered it
more
up with a
Hogan.
yellow bandana.
Yeah, right. That he can tear off every time.
Yeah.
He was also very hungry and thirsty. Man, that game was dumb. I want to play it again. It worked.
But do you want to play it enough to actually buy it? And I feel like
Not for
answer-
$40.
No, I'm certainly not. No,
No.
let's not get carried away here.
I mean, with all that extra money you save, somebody could get you some food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the big problem with this game is like the power-ups don't last long enough, and it gets kind of tedious, like
You don't say.
pretty quickly. Yeah.
I actually don't know if I think this is a really good game.
What's that?
Smash
This
TV.
Smash
more
TV
fun
or
with-
this version of Smash TV?
Any version really. I think it's more fun
Smash
with
TV
two
is fun.
players, but
I mean, like I would rather play a Hotline Miami or a Mr. Shifty than play OG Smash TV, but I think those are better versions of what this was.
Yeah, this is.
But Smash TV.
I
is
think it's
fun.
right. I think I played it for about this long and go, eh.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you get to the first boss, and
It's also a game that really benefits, like Joe said, from playing multiplayer, but also playing on an actual arcade cabinet.
yes, it's a gorgeous cabinet, by the way. The actual
Yeah.
cabinet itself.
Yeah.
All right.
Mutoid
I'm
Man.
not going to continue. So thanks everybody for watching and hanging out with us. And
Check out Mutoid Man's most recent album.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty damn good. Yeah,
It's my favorite of their albums, actually.
fair enough.
Also, check out the latest single from Teenage Bottle Rocket. It's Anthony's new favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, that'll do it. We'll be back next Wednesday with something, and
Sure will.
yeah. And if you're thinking about, if you want to know more about the Analog NT and see some side by side stuff, check out the video that's on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.